so easy for a piece like this that's dealing in, fantasy, sci-fi, and dealing with, warriors and fighting and stuff. It's very easy for something like this to go very bad. It's very easy for it to go very B movie, but this, it stayed elevated. It was very good. It dealt with the key moments. We didn't have to see a lot of fighting and violence. The key moments in this were the drama of the characters and their interaction. The three actors did a great job. The commander, the soldier, and the elf, they were all really, really good. And the interactions, obviously the story deals primarily with the soldier and the elf. Those were wonderfully executed scenes. They were wonderfully written, wonderfully directed, wonderfully shot, and wonderfully performed. The two actors did a great job. The lead actor, he just, he was very real, and a great job with costume and makeup, by the way, too. That the art department on this did a wonderful job. It all looked really real. Looks like it could have been a piece of a very big feature film, But the lead actor, he just had so much history, and a lot. Some of that got expressed very well by the makeup and the wounds and everything, but also just his performance as, he was a very good leading man. He took us through that story. The elf was, she was great. She just had this history of being this wise sage elf, and she comes and basically turns history upside down for him. And it was really nicely done.
It really makes you become to think of, what is clemency? And it's this act of mercy and forgiveness, and this moment of debate of what exactly are we fighting for. He is coming up the ranks and having this moment of wondering, of, it's the story element of where the militant has followed all of the rules and done everything that he's supposed to, yet realizes maybe the decisions he's making isn't necessarily the right decisions that he really means, and he begins to question it, which is exactly everything that armies and battles have taught you against. And it's having an act of humanity, of decency, that expands that, and I think that's beautiful to watch here.
This film was quite remarkable. It was something I didn't expect in such a short film, but the story within the script was excellent. The words of wisdom that the elf was speaking to the soldier, the way she was so compassionate and caring, the fact that at the end that you didn't really know if this had really happened or if he had dreamed it, because of it was just the circumstances of war. This is something that really was remarkable in wardrobe, in the way that it was directed. The direction was really great. This is really something I wasn't expecting for a short film. Usually the quality of short films lacks something if they're period pieces or fantasy pieces. They really lack something, and this didn't. It had a full story within it, while it was a story within a story. It was these two individuals, but they're both victims of their circumstances. They're both part of their own cultures, but they were able to put it aside to understand each other. Everything about this was really amazing and well done.
I really, really liked this. I like sci-fi and fantasy because they have this kind of freedom to talk about things or approach issues without having the kind of inherent human biases attached to it. And this is one of them where it's obviously it's a war, obviously it's been going on for a while, and to be able to show compassion and show that, like she was saying, I'm not at war with you, my people are at war with your people, and it's the two of us or the two of them didn't have any actual problems between the two of them. There was no bad blood, there was no anything there, and so she had no problem helping him, even if he wouldn't have necessarily done the same thing if the roles were reversed. And like I said, I just think that when you deal with sci-fi and fantasy, you can kind of like detail these things, you can get into these kind of issues and into these kind of thoughts that I think he was having of like, what is the point? Like, actually getting to interact with, these people that are his enemy and saying that they have compassion, they have, all of these things. And like, she just helped him survive the night, helped him, survive his injuries. I think that left him with having more questions of, is this war really something I want to be a part of? I think it left him reflecting.
But it just shows how two different groups of people kind of interact with each other and help each other, despite, nothing like in common. So it's kind of like a simple message to get from this short while still maintaining the fantasy element in this short. The setting is also convincing to kind of tell like that story. This story is not in the present time too. So there are so many things that make this short convince as a sci-fi fantasy, and it has a good acting and good setting to compromise the story as well.